Yo, what's up? Welcome back to a brand new video. I'm Jay Eskar, and today I'm going to show you how I made my newest song, or actually my newest EP, called Outcast / Shadows. I'm only going to show you how I made Outcast in this video, but on the next video, I'm going to show you how I made Shadows, alright? I know what you guys are all here for. You guys want to see how I made the drop. And you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and show you, okay? So let's go right into it. Just know that the mastering, all my mastering is off, because then I can't record my computer. Quick look at the whole project. We have the vocals here, a lot of stems. We have some effects go up, have a lot of automation, some drums, melodies, and that's it. I made sure that some of them are already consolidated. This way, my computer doesn't lag while showing the project. But the drop is not consolidated, so I can show you guys exactly what it is. All right, so if you haven't heard this track, Outcast sounds exactly like this. All right, let's do this. What I would call the most important thing about this track is the drums. So I'm gonna start off with a kick, which also has some rumble. Sounds like this. Anyways, this is the exact same kick I use all the time. The only thing is I'm adding a delay and also a convolver, which are also a little bit sidechained, so you can hear the beginning of the kick. Then I added another sort of rumble, which sounds like this. Without effects, sounds like. I wanted to add some mid frequencies to the rumble, so I added a fast distortion and I just put it super distorted basically, and I got rid of the lows and rid of the highs. It's just basically this low mids, which I felt like the rumble needed. So when you put these together, and I liked it, but I felt like the rhythm was lacking a little bit, so I copied another kick, and now it sounds like this. So it's sort of like dun 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 dun. So it sort of sounds like that, but there's not much transients happening. So there's not much happening, but you can still hear the rhythm below it. You know, this song was made last year, and I made it last year because I was gonna play at ADE, and I wanted to have some IDs which I could play, but there wasn't enough time when my set started, so I wasn't able to play this one. But you know what? Even though it took me a year to release, and I couldn't play it last year during ADE, this year I will be playing 3 shows at ADE. At least 3 of them are confirmed. If someone else is watching this video and is creating a ADE event and wants me to play there, bro, I'll play. Just hit me up through Instagram or whatever and I'll play, bro. Like, so I'm hoping you guys actually want to listen to it, whoever's going to ADE. And talking about that, if one of you are actually going to ADE this year, make sure to check the link in the description. I'm going to leave you a summary of all of the events I'm going to be playing at. So that's going to be it. Now, remember the rhythm which I told you about? The dum 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 sort of sound like that? I wanted to give that rhythm some help, so I loaded in a kick, second kick. And when you put this together, honestly, big fan of this sounds. What else is there in here? Can't show you the drop sounds yet. So basically, after that, I added a clap, which sounds like this by itself. Then another layer. Then another layer. When you play everything together without the basses, it sounds like this. And I mean, what can I tell you about that hi-hat? The hi-hat that just comes in, it's actually 2 layers, sound 1, sound 2. And you play them together, I think it sounds really cool. Then there's a stop, and then all of the same exact drums are playing again. Except there's some hi-hats. These are actually hi-hats that I made for one of my BandLab sample packs. And also, I just felt like it was quite fitting. Now, how did I make the drop sounds? This is going to be a very interesting video because for this sounds, I actually used a brand new, actually not a brand new, but at the time it was a brand new plugin. It's called Random. And I think that's the main sound for this. If we listen to this, check out this pattern. Sounds like this. You listen to that? Let me actually put this as the actual thing. So it's a question answer kind of thing happening. It's one bass, sounds like this. And then again. Simple. It's random. So I mean, I wish I could tell you how I did it, but it's a random thing. And if I move this just 1%, the sound will change. But I wanted to make the sound as short as possible because I wanted it to sound like a stab. Yes, you can play around with all of these, like the bleed and everything. And I don't want to move anything right now, but this feels like you're actually moving some sort of matter, which if you play with, you can mess up by just moving a tiny bit. But basically that's the sound that I made. And yes, I made it because you can load in different matters and play around with presets, but changing these things is very important. All right, so that's what I did with that one. And then there's another sound which answers to that. Stab sounds like this. And then there's another sound which sounds like this. You open it up, it's a layer basically. When you play these two though, because the first sound is sick, but it has no mid treble frequencies or like texture there. So when you play these two together, you create a pretty cool, almost like metallic sound. You hear that? Now when you play all three, and then the magical Jay Eskar signature bass comes in, or signature lead. But before that, I want to show you some of the extra layers I added to this bass. One of them is this one, because I wanted the sound to have a little bit more harmonics. So I added that one because of that, as well as this one. And it's just a synth tom. For some reason, it's not playing the full length, but it's this one and then this one as well. It's automatically doing that. And I think I added some white noise as well, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, so it's white noise from 3x oscillator. So when you play all of these together, if we listen to this 3x oscillator by itself, it's simple. Now there's another sound doing something here, and this is all serum. All right, so first hit comes in not just with random, but other layers from serum. First sound sounds like this. Actually play this. It's a pad. Pretty sick sound, huh? Now, it almost sounds like a vocal, and it's all happening inside serum. All right, I'm not doing anything. It's actually 13. What I'm doing to this is Oxford inflator, which is no longer working. I don't know why I bought it. Ozone imager to make it wider, some OTT, and some super VHS. And at the moment I was using OTT, but nowadays I'm only using Spec Comp by Nasco because it's so good, bro. Like, it's way better than OTT, to be honest. But anyways, it's a spectral compressor, whatever. And then I'm using Kickstart for the sidechain. And again, I made this a year ago. Nowadays, I'm using compactor for the kilohertz compactor for the sidechain because it's so freaking good, bro. It's way, way better. But this is a big layer of sounds. So the first one sounds like, and the second sound sounds like, super out of tune, huh? And that's the goal for this. I wanted this to be a layer that sounded huge. So this is not fully out of tune. If you play these two, it is only some cents that make it sound out of tune. Now, if you look at these sounds, these are all on store.jayeskar.com. This one called Boneless Carrot, I made it for Melodic House Essentials, and it's just a bass that I made longer. That's basically what I did with this, but you can find all these sounds there. This is also one of my packs, part of my Future of House preset pack, and it's called City Boy, and that's how I made it. Basically, it's a ring mod. It's almost a sine wave getting some ring mod. That's why it sounds like something like that. But yeah, you can find these two sounds at store.jayeskar.com. If you want to support my work, go check it out. And then there's also another sound. Sounds like this. You guys already know that's Rhythm of the Universe bass, and I put it on my pack as well. This one's called The Sky is the Limit, and it's also on the Future of House Serum 2 sound bank, or actually Serum sound bank, my bad. But when you play all these three, it's like some sort of creature or something screaming. It sort of feels like that, and I love doing that. And I think one of the ways to achieve a more organic slash I don't know, sort of like a real sound is to first always roll off the highs, always, bro, and create those highs with something else. In this case, something else means a 3x oscillator. If you listen to it, I love doing this. This is just a white noise thing, and it's getting modulated with some ring mod. So besides that, I also have this white noise, another white noise channel, and this one has no ring mod. This is just a steady white noise thing. When you put them together, and then I also have another stab, which sounds like this. Watch. Super distorted kind of bass, and it's just a gritty bass from Shadow Samples. You can't even hear it, to be honest, and I changed it so much from the original, I think. Besides that, we have this extra sound, and the magic of this sound, these are just basic basses with a ton of distortion. When you add a ton of distortion, you get that result. Now, it feels weird to look at Serum, to be honest, because now I'm using Serum 2 for everything. But again, I made this song over a year ago, and Serum 2 was released this year, around February, I think. So that's how I made the drop, basically. There's some stuff happening that I'm sure you guys want to know about. One of them is anytime these chord-like part plays, before that, I made some consolidated version of it, so it can feel like you're dragging it, like a sweep version of it. So now it sounds like... It adds so much to the drop. Let me play it. Without it and with it. Without it. It sort of comes out of nowhere, but if you put it in, and it starts to feel a lot more natural. Now, there's also some other things happening. One of them is a pitch bend automation. Again, the goal with adding pitch bend is to make the song feel like it flows. And I felt like this was the right position, but I could have chosen something like this. You know, you never know. Like I'm just gonna do something random. I mean, it also works, but it doesn't feel like I wanted it to feel. And one of the reasons why I made this pitch bend, if you think about the first sounds in the drop sound super low in octaves, and then the next sound is actually kind of high. So my goal was to make it flow. So if we're down here, how do we go from here to here without it being abrupt? So the way I do that is by using a pitch bend. So this low sounds connect with a high sound. Hopefully that feels like it makes sense. Honestly, when I'm making music, I'm not thinking about that. I'm just flowing with it, and I'm thinking like, oh, that would sound better if we could connect, you know? Hopefully that's making sense for you guys. Now, there's also some other things happening. I'm automating, again, an endless smile, drop synths intensity, which is actually a reverb going on in there. And I'm automating it anytime there's empty spaces, so it fills out those very empty spaces. And the other thing I'm doing is I'm using a fruity panomatic, and that way I can make a kind of sound. Let me show you. Watch this. I'm gonna play this thing with it, and you should hear it. No, you can't hear it. Anyways, there's a sound going on in there that sounds like that. What is this? Oh yeah, I wanted to try a drop with some sort of vocal chops. Yeah, it didn't work, as you guys can see, but I never delete any old files when I'm producing. Like, if I feel like I want to try something new, I just disable it. So if a time comes when I listen to it, I'm like, oh, this actually worked in the future, then I still have the option to do so. It sounds horrible, but as you can see, we all start with a track that sounds horrible and then sounds good. What is this? Yeah, I tried making it on a filter, but I didn't like it anyways, so that's it. But now, how did I make this sound in the intro? This sound which everybody loves, and by everybody I mean me and myself. I don't know if you guys like him, but this sound. So the way I did this was by cutting some of the sounds from the drop, which I liked. Let me show you. And what's this? I repeated some of the notes. But that wasn't a great example. But this part, how do I make it repeat so fast? So The trick to make it repeat that fast was by adding an effector to the sounds that I wanted to repeat over and over again. And I'm sure I did it with some sort of this. Yeah, I'm sure I did it with this. I first consolidated this, which let me show you how it sounds like. Actually, I want to make this fast. So it sounds like this. I mean, I tried many things, and the way I achieved it was by using, again, I consolidated it. I cut little parts of it. You see, I left this sort of more repetitive. So I made this shorter and I made this like that, but the way I made it repeat was by using an effector, and I'm using this option called trans. When you play anything with this on, it repeats it as if it's some sort of granular synthesis or something like that. But I control when it's on and when it's off with this automation. Basically, that's how I did it. So I really liked it, and when I made this, I was thinking about this old Skrillex kind of vibe where he would show you some of the drop sounds before the drop. And I really wanted to do something different with my music, you know? I think this is a iconic kind of pre-drop, to be honest. I feel like there's no other track that has this kind of sound specifically. And that was my goal with this EP. If you listen to Shadows, that track was made with a sort of stadium choir before the drop, and we're gonna check that out in the next video. But I wanted to make something different, you know? I didn't want to make the usual snare build-up, riser build up and then drop kind of thing. Like I wanted something cool and something iconic before the drop, and that's what I did. Repeating things over can be quite fun, you know, chopping stuff. Now for the breaks, how did I make the breaks? So first and foremost, most important thing about the song, I feel like, is the chords, and they sound like this. If you look at it, it's actually the Prince, it sounds like. And then that repeats over and over and over again. That sounds anthemic, sounds really big. However, there's no bass happening. So this is where a Release comes in, which sounds like. When you put these two together, you get a fuller sound. And please know that there's sidechain on, which shouldn't be on, but then I load in another, this is Spire sound, and it sounds like doom 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 doom. Together, bro. There's also a kick playing in the background. That's why there's a sidechain playing, but it sounds like this. When I sent this to Rico felt like there was an empty spot here which we needed to fill out with something. So I loaded up my newest Serum 2 sound bank, and I loaded up this sound called Destruction. And I put it together with a Release bass, which is Release but J-Ease. Weird name, but it works. When you play this together and you add some filters. All right, so what else? What else is there in the job? There's some hi-hats. Typical snare buildup, and there's a bunch of filters happening, going up and down on the chords as well as the bass, and that makes it move a lot more and feel more dynamic, because I'm pretty much repeating the same thing over and over again. But I mean, the loop is basically 8 bars long, so it's not as repetitive, you know. There's stuff happening. Now, vocal wise, we had a different vocal from the start, but Rico sold the other vocal. So he told me like, bro, we can create a better vocal easily. So I thought, let's do it. You know, and he was right. We ended up with a vocal that sounds so freaking good. Honestly, this is one of my favorite vocals I ever had on any of my music, and I'm very proud of it. It feels like something I want to show to people. So this track is one of those tracks I was not planning on releasing. I gotta be honest, I made it to play it at ADE, and I didn't play it because I didn't feel like it was good enough. But my friend Tony, which I made Control with, heard it months after ADE. And when he heard it, he was like, bro, this is so good. You have to release it. And I was like, he was sitting in my studio with me right when I lived in Monterey. So shout out to Tony, because without his words of, encouragement, I would have not released this track ever. I felt like it was cool, but I don't know. I think one of the reasons why I didn't want to release this track is because I couldn't find a vocal that fitted, and I didn't want to use the splice. So, but this vocals, bro, what can I tell you guys? This is the main vocal. Main vocal sounds like this. And you guys already know my chain for vocals is Abbey Road, R-Box, Q10 to get rid of the lows, C4 to compress it, and then CLA2A to compress it again, reduce some of the peaks. Then I have a right double and then a left double. And then I have a harmony and then another double. All of them are going to their own channel. In some of these vocal doubles, I'm using the Spirit, which is a plugin by Cradle Audio. I highly suggest you guys check it out. I don't know if there's a demo, but if there is, use it as a demo, bro, because it's so worth it. This doubler part specifically, it's my favorite. I use it, I put the mix all the way up. I mean, it has everything you need. Compression, focus, EQ, doubler, and then a reverb. It's easy, and it also has a rider. So good for vocals. It's one of my favorite plugins nowadays when it comes to vocals. But the thing is, it's really heavy on PC. So I tried to not overuse it. I just use it whenever I need it. All of these doubles are going to the vocal doubles. And on my doubles, I have Abbey Road, again, saturated to give it some hiss to the vocals. I'm using Q2 to get rid of the lows and the highs. Although you guys might be thinking like, bro, you just said you were hiding some treble to the vocals. Yeah, but it's also adding some saturation. So even though I'm rolling off the highs later on, you can still feel a difference. It just sounds like it was run through some analog saturator or something. I think it sounds fantastic. There's also our compressor, and then I'm using doubler to make it even wider. I made some of them wider using Spirit, but with this thing, I made sure it was actually wide, like really wide. So that's how I made the stack for this vocals, which ended up sounding like. There's some ad-libs happening here. One of them sounds like. Never mind. The ad-libs are these, I think. Yeah, that's the only ad-lib. Is this one? I played these two together. And if you're wondering, why do they sound like they're moving? It's because I have actually not a new, because I've been using it since like 2 years ago, but my favorite two plugins for ad-libs nowadays, it's Mod, which makes it move. You can actually make it move 360, I think, with this thing. It's rotated. And also Metaflanger, which is making it's a flanger. There's not much crazy thing happening, but I use Pensando's preset called Flangebox 1, and it's so good, bro. Like, listen to the ad-libs without it. Actually, now without it. With it. Actually, let me turn it off. Let me just turn this off. Without Metaflanger, it sounds like this. There's some movement. Actually, let me turn off Mondo Mod as well. Without Mondo Mod and Metaflanger, my ad-libs sound like. They're cool, but with Mondo Mod and Metaflanger, they feel like they're moving. They feel magical, bro. So that's my trick for ad-libs lately. When you put everything together, I mean, I added some automations, I think, for the reverb and the delay, and I made it move. I added some, what else? Yeah, I mean, if you listen to everything, let's listen to the breakdown and the drop. What do you guys think? I mean, what else can I tell you guys? Deep down my heart, this is one of my most favorite tracks, and I'm hoping you guys actually enjoy them. I know it doesn't sound like dated. I know it doesn't sound as hype as Feel the Rush. I think it's still a really cool track, and I'm hoping some of you connect with it. Anyways, usually for the second part of the drop, I change the melody and I make like something higher or just change it overall. But I felt like the first part of the drop feels like a song that will give you a trance-like state, and I felt like I need to just improve what I made. And by improving, I just meant adding a second hi-hat that was just like, and that's how I felt like there was enough difference between the first part of the drop and the second part of the drop, as well as this extra, filter that we add before it sounds like. Now, the second breaks are pretty much the same as the first one. They're just 1 bar longer, and there's something really cool happening. I wanted to trick you guys into thinking that the drop was gonna hit as soon as this part came again. What I did to this was, I mean, the second drop, you can easily hear it. There's barely any drums happening. It's just a kick. But for the build-up, how did I do it? Basically, what I did was I automated tempo reduce on effector, and I looped the first part of the last part of the sample that I made. That way, it sounded like it's just extended. And I think it was a really cool trick. It feels more like a flex. I don't think a grandma could listen to this by itself and be like, that's such a good song. And also I moved some of the Panomatic stuff. Where is it? I'm sure I did. Yeah, I changed the LFO amount that way, and also the LFO speed. That way before the drop, it just feels like it's moving it like this through your ears, and then at the end it's like, giving you again some sort of trance-like state, It just puts you into this different state of mind and feeling and emotion. I'm hoping you guys enjoyed this track. I had a lot of fun making it. I sent it out to Zed, and he ended up playing it. Not only play it, but post it. He posted a video of him playing this song, and I'm honestly so really so grateful to Zed and everything he has been doing for my career, because believe it or not, I feel like a lot of people have been following me since he started playing my music like nonstop, and I'm so grateful. I wish I could tell him in person, like, yo, thank you for supporting my stuff that I'm doing at home and just having fun with. Shout out to Zed for playing it, and shout out to any of you that has been streaming Outcast. What else can I say? I love you guys, and I hope to see you during ADE. If anyone's coming, link's gonna be in the description if you want to check out this song, as well as Shadows. Link's gonna be in the description as well. I had so much fun coming back to this. Honestly, it was good to be here. I'll see you guys soon with the next video, which is Shadows, okay? I recorded the same day, so don't say anything about my shirt being the same, all right? I'll see you guys.